Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyadhyadeshatarine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivadari Sarabhakta
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaurabhakta
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki
Jai.
Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna everyone. Thanks for joining this Friday satsang. As you all know, I already mentioned that His Grace Ajit Krishna Prabhu is not doing good with his health. So he said he won't be able to do the class today, continue wisdom series. So we'll pray for his betterment. Hopefully from next week onwards, he'll continue. So instead, we have His Grace Nayanabhiram Prabhu on the call. So he agreed to continue wisdom series today. So let's all welcome him by chanting 3 times Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
So you don't know Nayanabhiram Prabhu. So Nayanabhiram Prabhu, can you please switch on your video? Sorry, Ramshyam Prabhu, do you
Yeah, Prabhu.
quickly recall what we learned about 2 weeks back? I know last week we didn't have our regular satsang, but before week we had discussed about 4.9, I think 4.9, 4.10 Bhagavad Gita. So do you want to recall quickly what we discussed?
Yeah, Prabhu. Just so 4.9 is the Janma Karma Cha Medivyam Yevam Yogati Tatvatah Tatvadeham. Oh, sorry. Is that the one? Or
Yes,
before
yes,
that?
that's the one.
Yeah, yeah. So Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna. So Krishna, as we know that in the previous Krishna says Antakale cha mameva smarna muktva kalevaram yati prayati means the meaning while at the last moment, if you remember, then you will come back to home. You will go back to home, back to Godhead. So not only at the last moment, so Krishna is very merciful. He said Janma karma cha medibam. So even though if you will not able to remember at the last moment while quitting the body, but previously, if you have glorified my birth and my pastimes and my activities and the all things, my lila and so you will come back to me. You will go back to home, back to Godhead. So that is the Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. The Krishna's pastimes and the birth are totally transcendental. And Evam Yavati Tatvataha, it's totally transcendental. And Tyaktva Deham. So while quitting the body, Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma, you will not take the birth again. So that means you will get liberated. So that's the lesson we have to take from this verse. And Prabhuji was also focusing on that. As Prahlad Maharaj says in the Bhagavatam, 7th canto, we have to do our bhakti, Noda bhakti, since beginning only, preferred from the childhood only. But whenever we got aware of Krishna, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Brahmaji, who is the Lord, first time who has created this world. So material world. So he said Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to glorify Krishna in all our endeavor, whatever the capacity we know. And then slowly we will be eligible to go back to home, back to Godhead. So that's the one I remember from 9th. And before that we have 7 and 8. So those are very very popular, and everybody knows that, as Mataji was also mentioning, that 7th is the very popular when we everywhere see that yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhitanam avdharmasya tadatmanam sriyanam. And second, 8th is the Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinasaya Cha Duskritam Dham Sansthapanarthaya Sambhavani Yuga Yuga. So I think Prabhuji is back. So I will, it's better, let's hear from the Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. So that's
Thank you,
what I
Ram.
remember. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Nayanabhiram Prabhu. So thank you very much for agreeing in a very short notice, agreeing to give a class on Bhagavad Gita today. And most of you, I think Ramsham Prabhu or Surut Prabhu knows Nayanabhiram Prabhu because he has come on to our session previously also once. But anyways, I would like to introduce him, and he's a wonderful disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He's been practicing Krishna consciousness for more than 15 years, at least, I know. And he has been inspiring many devotees across United States, not just Fort Myers, where he is from, not just that place, but Cincinnati, Tampa. He has been giving sessions there, also online. So he's been inspiring by example, setting example, not just speaking about it. So thank you very much, Nayanabhiram Prabhu. As I mentioned before, that we are doing a wisdom series, which is Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter we did 4.9 last time, about 2 weeks back. and you can still continue with 4.9 and continue onwards. So like to hear from you. So let's all welcome him once again by chanting 3 times Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
So we have Surat Prabhu, Tarun Prabhu, and Ramcham Prabhu. So devotees might join a little late today, as I mentioned before. Okay, so let's hear from you. Thank you, Prabhu. Again, please go ahead. So this is what we do. We recite the sloka, one of the kids basically. I prefer kids to recite a sloka, and then we follow that, only the sloka, and they read the translation, and then you can start. So if you are planning to take 3 slokas today, so kids will first recite all 3 slokas, and then you can come back to first and then continue. Okay.
So let's go till if it is okay with you, Prabhu, 4.9, 10. We will read these 2 verses.
Okay. Yeah. So we should.
And then based upon the time, we can decide if we can cover in 4.11 also. If it is okay.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. So 4.9. Well, Surat Prabhu, you want to recite?
I'll do 10, Prabhuji.
Oh, you'll do 10. 4.9, Tarun Krishna Prabhu. .9. You want me to share the screen? I can present on screen. Are you okay? Tarun Krishna. Let me share screen. Okay. Yeah, can you see?
Yes.
Yeah, please recite.
Janma karma cha me divyam.
Janma karma cha me
me
divyam.
divyam.
Evam yo veti tattvataha.
Evam
yo veti tattvataha. Tektva dehan punarjanma. Deham punarjanma. Neti mameti so Arjuna.
Neti
Mameti so
Arjuna.
Arjuna. Translation. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. Arjuna.
Okay, thank you, Tarun Krishna Prabhu. Surat Prabhu, you want to go with?
Yes, Prabhuji.
410.
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Vitaraga
Bhaya Krodha.
Maya Mamupashritaha
Manmaya Mamupashritaha.
Bhavo Jnana Tapasa
Bhava Jnana Tapasa.
Tamad Bhavam Agataha. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many persons in the path become purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attain transcendental love for me. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Surat Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Prabhuji, I think we will read even the next verse also, if it is okay.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
read the 11th verse and then we can go.
Ramcham Prabhu, you want to go?
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji.
Ye
yatha mam prapadante
yata mam prapadyante
tam tathaiva bhajamyaham
tam
Tamstataiva bhajamyaham
mam vartmanu vartante
mama vartmanu
Amartanamantante
manusyah partha sarvasah.
manushya
partha sarvashaha.
And the translation by His Divine Grace Sabhay Charna Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ramshan Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Mukta Sangha Prabhu, for giving a kind introduction. The 4.9, 10, and 11, these three verses are very important verses. But before we get started with our discussion, let's invoke some auspiciousness, and then we can get started with our discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Devaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om
Bhagavate
Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Aschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this 4.9, since this verse has already been discussed, we'll just touch upon this verse and then we'll continue with the next verse, 10th and 11th verse. Janma karma chame divyam yevam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deha punarjanma naiti mam eti so arjuna. So this is a very interesting verse, and if you are here to Srila Prabhupada lectures, this verse is quoted many times by Srila Prabhupada and also his disciples. If you see Srila Prabhupada disciples, this verse is, if you count the number of times this verse was quoted, it will be like more. But this has the essence. So here it is said, Yaha evam tattvataha veti. Tattvataha. When we are following anything, when we are studying something, we always want to understand the essence of what we are studying or what we are discussing. So Krishna also is making it very clear that Yaha evam tattvataha veti. Whoever understands in truth, in tattvataha. That is the first point what Krishna makes. What is the truth? What Krishna wants all of us to understand? Krishna wants all of us to understand. Me divyam janma cha karma. So Krishna wants all of us to understand the truth of what? The truth of his birth, janma, and karma. Karma means his actions. So you understand my birth and my actions in truth, in tattvataha. And what is the result of knowing or understanding Krishna's birth and actions in truth? Saha, that person, mam eti, that person attains me. So he's saying, whoever hears my birth and my activities in truth, in tattvataha, that person attains me. Saha mam eti. When does that person attain Krishna? Tyaktva deham. When he gives up his body. And after giving up the body, we all have, death is something which is very a scary thing in the whole creation. We are not like, at least I can speak to myself. Prahlad Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj got 7 days notice. And he felt it as a great benediction that at least I have 7 days. So he took complete advantage of the 7 days. And then he made his life perfect. But what hope we all have, especially with the war, what is going on between Russia and Ukraine. How many people have, instead of saying left their bodies, we should say how many people got murdered or killed by this horrifying war. And how many lives have the COVID, how many lives COVID has taken. So there is no hope for all of us. So now one might get a question, well, if I leave my body, who has seen the other world? I don't know about the other world. So at least let me enjoy in this lifetime. Yeah. So everyone will have this kind of things. That's why Krishna is making one more point very clear. Punarjanmana eti. After saying that after you give up, after you leave this body, you'll come back to me. But don't worry that you'll have one more birth. Punarjanmana eti. You will never have birth again. You will never take birth again. That is what Krishna explains in this verse. So this verse is very important because when we understand, especially when it comes to spirituality, when we are not understanding spirituality from the right source, it's by default that we'll get misled. And we always will have so many questions. Who has seen the other world? So at least I have this life, let me enjoy. So I have my colleague in the place where I work. And my colleague used to say that, even I also used to do Ekadashis. But somehow I felt like, I'm being too austere in my life. And I gave up everything. And now he does everything. He doesn't care about Ekadashi. He eats everything on Ekadashi days. He does anything. And when I asked, the common reason what we all hear from everyone is, who has seen the other world? So why should I give importance to such kind of statements? So that's why Krishna is saying, Tattvataha, understand my birth and my activities in truth. Tattvataha. But one thing what we all have to understand and realize is we cannot understand the higher truths, especially on Krishna and his qualities by our present senses. It is not possible at all. So our senses are contaminated. Just like when you have a cataract on the eye, the vision becomes so blurry. You cannot see, you cannot have a proper vision. Okay? So for us to have a proper vision, what do? We go to the eye doctor. The eye doctor will remove the cataract from our eye, and then we'll be able to see. So first thing what we have to understand is to understand Krishna by Krishna's birth and his actions in truth, our senses will have to be purified. That's why Shastra explains that Atah Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhave Grahyam Indriyai Sevon Muke hi Jivvadhau Swayam Eva Spuratyadhau Nabhave Grahyam Indriyai. This senses, with our current senses, we cannot understand Krishna. Atah Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved. We cannot understand. Sevon Muke hi Jivvadhau. Jivva, this tongue, has two qualities. One, the tongue always vibrates. or the tongue always is tasting something. Either this is the two things. The tongue always toggles between these two things. Either it vibrates or it wants to taste something. So when we use these two things, when we use these propensities in the service of the Lord, then slowly and steadily our senses also will get purified. And when the senses get purified, then we'll be able to understand Krishna's birth and his actions in truth. And that's why when Mukta Sangha Prabhu asked me to speak, he said 4.9 till 4.11. I somehow felt, yes, if I can use my tongue, I use my tongue for so many nonsensical things throughout my day, in work. But at least if I can use my tongue in glorifying the Lord, which is what we all are supposed to do throughout our day. And doing that throughout our day is not possible because we all have our obligations. But at least when we get this opportunity, we should grab it immediately. Siksha Guru always used to say, whenever you are given a task of speaking about Krishna, you just grab the opportunity and speak. So we have to purify our senses. When we purify our senses, we have these two propensities. Let's dovetail these propensities in the service of the Lord. One time I was giving a class in one university session, and when Mataji asked this question, that now I have so many limitations. I'm not able to, I should confess here that I'm not able to really practice my bhakti the way acharyas are expecting from all the practitioners. Then I interrupted her and said, look, Mataji, I also have so many conditionings. And I said, I have this conditioning or limitation of reading news. Even though I say I don't want to do it, but sometimes I get so absorbed and I'll read for 30, 40 minutes at a stretch. What am I going to do? By reading the news, can I go and change the whole world? No, not required. But one thing what I've realized is when you read the news, you get into anxiety mode. You'll start thinking, oh, what will happen now? You'll not have any motivation. At least it happens to me. It might not be with everyone, but with me it happens. Then I said, I got reminded of Chakravarti Pad making a beautiful statement in Madhurya Kadambini. He says that when we desire that, my dear Lord, I'm done with this, so many nonsensical things I have done so far in this life. And now I want to establish my relationship with you, but I have so many conditionings. I am what I am, but I have a deep desire. I have a sincere desire to establish my relationship with you. Chakravarti Pad makes a statement that the moment we desire like this, Krishna will start orchestrating our life. So I interrupted this Mataji and said, do not worry that you have so many limitations. You're not doing what our acharyas are expecting all the practitioners to do. It's not. There is no need to feel discouraged or dejected. Let's nurture this desire of establishing our relationship with Krishna and his devotees. Tadiya. Krishna and Tadiya, his devotees. And Krishna will organically help us. Now we cannot take the pure love of God over the night. Even if Krishna gives, we cannot tolerate that. We cannot take it with our current conditionings. So Krishna will organically give in a very systematic way. So this is the first time where Krishna talks about attaining him. If you see all the from the first chapter till fourth chapter, in this verse, it is made very clear that you can attain me. You can attain me. He spoke about his destination. If you look at the second chapter, in the second chapter, he spoke about the destination that a living entity will attain when he is free from all the miseries. Padam Gachanti Anamayam, second chapter. But here Krishna is making it very clear that when we understand, when we know in truth, or to understand my activities as transcendental, then you can attain me for sure. It is released from the rebirth. So one student asked me this question one time, that I'm so engrossed in this PhDs. I don't know why I made that statement that day. I said, how many lifetimes we have done this PhDs? We only think about this lifetime PhD. But we have done this kind of PhDs in so many lifetimes. But we never get bored of doing the same thing again and again. Right? So, release from rebirth is something which is the greatest benediction what we can get. But again, devotees are not really after this going back to Krishna. Devotee says, I'm okay to even go to hellish planets as long as I have this seva, as long as I'm given this service. I'm okay to go to hellish planets also. So now why is Krishna suddenly talking about this Janma Karma, my birth, my activities, or they are transcendental? Because Arjuna asked a question. How come you said you have given this knowledge to sun god Vivashwan, but you and I more or less have taken birth at the same time? But you said, I remember all the births, but I don't remember all the births. So Krishna says, in my original form, and again in the previous verses, if you see, he spoke about yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. I come again and again. So ninth verse, this particular verse is very important. His purpose, Krishna's purpose of coming to this material world is made very clear. What is that purpose? The purpose is to elevate all of us, or to educate all of us. To liberate all of us by performing his wonderful pastimes. So we all get attracted by supernatural powers. The other day I was talking to my kid, and my kid was talking about, I think we should watch the Spider-Man movie. What is so special about this Spider-Man? The Spider-Man, if you see, the Spider-Man has no meaning at all. If you see from, it's a completely a fiction. It's a fiction movie, or it has no meaning at all. Now, how can a man start putting some webs? But the same thing, if we show Hanuman, who is a real personality, the kids will not like it. Why? Because the graphics and everything are so attractive. So when we see something which is so attractive, naturally we get attracted to it. Right? So Krishna comes to this material world to create such kind of pastimes which are so attractive. So he has a small desire, he has a small hope that this conditional living entities are getting attracted to something which is mundane. So let me come and do some super heroic activities in this material world by which they all will get attracted to me. Not that he wants to show his supremacy to everyone. He wants everyone to get attracted to his pastimes for our benefit, not for his benefit. There is no need for the Lord to come to this material world to maintain his status quo. That is not at all required for the Lord. Right? So he comes here to educate all of us that, whatever things you're getting attracted to, these are all mundane, these are all temporary. So let me come and create some pastimes by which you all can get attracted to me. That's why when we understand Krishna's compassion, Krishna's mercy, his mercy is such that even though this material world is a place where it is said, especially in the age of Kali, the demigods are also not willing to come to this planet. In the previous yugas, the demigods used to come to this planet for their amusements or for whatnot. But in this time, this age of in this Kali Yuga? No. Prabhupada gives a very nice definition of Kali Yuga. Still Krishna comes. That's his mercy. He descends from his eternal abode. That's his enormous amount of compassion. And the second quality of Krishna is he never gets tired. He is tireless. He comes again and again. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkutam. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Tirelessly he comes. You know, the other day I was trying to correct my kid, and somehow this statement slipped away from my mouth. I said, how many times have to tell this thing? I've been saying this for like several years. Then it struck me that, well, Krishna is coming again and again. But is he getting tired? Never. He never gets tired. When we see, my relationship with my kid is only 10 years. And when he's not doing what I'm expecting him to do, definitely I get irritated or frustrated, isn't it? Right? But Krishna never gets tired. That is his compassion. That is his mercy. So bhakti is such that bhakti helps us to understand Krishna's mercy. This is the beauty of this yoga. Unlike the other yoga systems, one advantage of this yoga, this bhakti, is bhakti helps us to understand Krishna's mercy. Even though this yuga is one of the worst time and worst place to come, but Krishna still descends from his eternal abode to educate us. And tirelessly he comes to this material world to establish dharma. And Krishna's sweetness is there. These three attributes are very important. And what is his sweetness? His sweetness is exhibited through his wonderful pastimes. Krishna stealing the butter. And these three things are only possible by the path of bhakti. His mercy, his tirelessness, and his sweetness. So when we understand, when we practice bhakti, we may not have that the topmost love what the gopis had. We might be in a very beginning stage. At least I can speak to myself. But there is no need to feel discouraged, because Chakravarti Pad made it very clear. This one desire of us, if we can somehow nourish this desire, then Krishna will start orchestrating our life in such a way that we can start developing that love. And that is exactly what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. Yognanamattam. There's a very nice verse which was composed by Rupa Goswami or Sanatan Goswami. I'm not able to recollect that. Yognanamattam bhuvanam dayalu ullagayan apyakarot pramattam. So this people of this Kali Yuga are maddened by so many desires. But this personality called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to this, has descended to this material world to make the people of Kali more mad, more crazy. What kind of benediction is this? Yognanamattam bhuvanam dayalu Vullagayannapyakarot pramattam Swaprema sampat sudayad bhuteham Sri Krishna Chaitanya amum prapadye. He says, how is he making the people of Kali Yuga much more maddened? Or how is he making the people of Kali Yuga more crazy? Pramattam means intensified form of craziness. The people of Kali are already in a mad state, right? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come and made this madness the intensity of madness he has taken to the next level. How? Swaprema Sampad, the love what he is holding in his heart, by giving the love to everyone who, without seeing any qualifications, by giving the love what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has in his heart to everyone, he is making all the people of this Kali Yuga residents much more crazier. To that personality, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my obeisances. Rupa Goswami makes this statement. Tirelessly Mahaprabhu, tirelessly Krishna comes, and they create wonderful, sweet pastimes by which we can understand Krishna's Janma and Karma. How? By practicing bhakti. So that's why when we understand, without understanding Krishna's position, when we start evaluating him, what happens is it leads to delusion. Now, how bhakti purifies our senses? Bhakti has the power to purify our senses in a very faster way. Pravista karnarandrena swanam bhava saroruham dunoti samalam krishnaha salilasya yatasharat. Bhagavatam explains this. When we hear Krishna Katha, as I said, tongue has two roles, vibrating and tasting. When a person is speaking and when we all hear that Katha, that when the Katha enters our ears, Pravista Karnarandrena, when it enters our ear, Swanam Bhava Saroruham, Dunoti Samalam Krishna, based upon our sincerity, based upon our dedication, Krishna personally takes the broomstick and he starts cleansing all the dirt we have accumulated in our heart. That is how our senses get purified. And when our senses get purified, then we'll be able to understand Krishna's Janma, which is birth, and his actions in truth. Otherwise, it leads to delusion. It leads to delusion. So when we see the water always, it naturally gravitates from the higher side to lower side, right? The same thing happens to this material world also. The material world always gravitates to disorder. There is no order here. Even though we say we are living in the most advanced country where we follow the traffic rules, but there is no order. So we should not think that Lord is coming to this material world to establish the order. There is no point of changing this order because the material world always gravitates to the disorder. That is how the whole material world is created. The material world is created to frustrate the desire of the living entity. How can we expect that there will be order? There can be no order. So the Lord does not come to change the order. He comes here to change the orientation of our consciousness. Our consciousness right now is directed towards material things which are temporary. He does not come to establish the order, to keep the order in place. Like the politicians, they say, when we come, we make sure that everything follows in a systematic way. No, it cannot happen. The classic example is our state. In our state, the opposition party said, when we come, we'll create so many jobs, we'll do this, that. It's been 3 years, nothing has been done so far. It's guaranteed no one can do anything in this, but because the material world is created to frustrate the desire of living entity. And Bhagavatam watches for that. So the Lord comes to change the orientation of our consciousness from matter to spirit. So to summarize this verse, bhakti is the only way. First of all, we cannot understand the Krishna's Janma and Karma through our current senses, with our present senses. because our present senses are contaminated. The only way we can understand his birth and his activities in truth is by purifying our senses. And how do we purify our senses? By using the yoga called bhakti. When we use this, when we implement this bhakti yoga in our life, then we'll be able to understand Krishna's mercy. We'll be able to understand how tireless he is to come to this material world again and again, and how he creates his sweet pastimes. And finally, Krishna does not come to establish the order, but he comes to orient, to change the orientation of our consciousness from material to spiritual. Then we'll be able to go back to him. It's not having a proper order. See, this is the biggest problem. We all think that we all desire and aspire for a problem-free life, but the problem-free life can never happen. But one thing we can do is we can have a purpose-driven life. We might not be at the stage of pure devotees, but at least if I know that this is what my purpose should be, if I can get conviction that this is what my purpose should be, then it's guaranteed that Krishna will take the charge. He will start orchestrating. Many times I call Mukta Sangha Prabhu when I'm low in my practices. The only thing which helps is when we start discussing Krishna Katha. Katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So when we start conversing about Krishna Katha, you get some energy. The last couple of weeks were really stressful at my workplace. But this Katha, this Krishna Katha is the only savior for us, nothing else. That is what is discussed in the 9th verse. In the 10th verse, Krishna explains, let me go to the 10th verse for 1 second. Vitaraga bhayakroda manmaya mamupashitaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta mad bhavam agata. Vitaraga bhayakroda. So once we give up this attachment, raga, bhaya, krodha, these three things. I don't know how many of you remember these things. When I was a kid, we used to have these antennas on top of the houses. You know, when there is no proper receptivity, my dad used to climb. He used to go on top of the terrace. He'll take a stick and he'll start moving the antenna. I don't know if you have this experience or not. We used to move that antenna so that we get the proper receptivity, right? So why? Because something is blocking the signal to enter the antenna to our TV. That's why the signal is not that clear. So these three things, what Krishna is explaining, are our blockers. They're blocking us to understand the Krishna in truth. Vita raga bhaya krodha. So when we give up these three things, raga, bhaya, and krodha. And not only just giving up these three things, Krishna says, manmaya. After giving up these three things, raga, bhaya, krodha, one should be absorbed in hearing and chanting. This is where, this is the biggest challenge for all the practitioners, at least like me. Somehow we have to hear about Krishna Katha, somehow we have to speak about Krishna Katha, hearing and chanting. Just not by giving up these things will make one's life successful. After giving up these three things, one should be absorbed in me with the hearing and chanting. Not just that, he goes one more step. Mam upashritaha, and take complete shelter of me. Ashritaha. Take complete shelter of me. Bahavo. These three things, I'm not saying that, don't think this is not possible. Bahavo means many people did these things. So Krishna is giving assurance again that don't think that I'm saying something which is not possible to do. It is possible to do. Bahavo means many persons. They got purified. How? Jnana tapasa puta. They got purified. They got purified by knowing this true knowledge of my birth and activities. So again, the connection between the previous verse, 9th verse and 10th verse is, Krishna said, when you know my birth and activities in truth, then you'll come to me. Krishna is making it very clear here also. Bahavo, many people got purified by doing this austerities of knowing or understanding my birth and activities. They got purified. And what is the end result he's saying? Mad bhavam agata. They have attained love for me. So these three things are very, very important. These three things are the blockers for us. Just like as I was saying, the signal, if the signal is not properly received by the antenna, then you will not get the proper clarity of the picture. So I always used to say, my neighbors, they are getting a good clarity, but we are not getting good clarity. Then we got something called boosters. We used to go and keep the boosters, one on the antenna and one at the in the house. And we used to move that knob to get that signal, right? So that boosters are none other than bona fide saintly people. So when we associate with those saintly people, I'm sorry, I got distracted. So when we associate with those bona fide saintly people, then what happens is the signal, even though we are not able to get that signal, the signal is there everywhere. Antenna can receive that signal, but somehow we are not able to get that signal. So when we start associating with the bona fide saintly people, Srila Prabhupada's disciples, wonderful devotees, this Sangha, then what happens is we'll start getting those signals. Then we'll be able to break this blockers, this reception blockers. So Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto explains that Yashaham Shuyamanayam Krishne Paramapurushe. When we start hearing about Krishna, Yashyaham Shuyamanayam, hearing about whom? Krishne Paramapurushe, about Krishna. Because he's Paramapurusha, he's Purushottama. Bhakti Utpajyate Pumsham. So in the previous verse, we discussed that bhakti is one thing which will enable us to understand, which will enable us to know Krishna's mercy, Krishna's tireless efforts, what he is putting to help us, to educate us. Bhakti Utpajyate Pumsha. The bhakti will start sprouting in our heart. That is the first thing what happens. Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. These three things. Shoka, lamentation. Moha, illusion. Bhaya, fear. These three things will be eradicated. So it's very easy to say, at least a neophyte practitioner like me. But one thing what I, over the period of my time, one thing what I have developed, especially conviction, is the path is bona fide. I might not be following everything what scriptures are expecting me to follow. But if I somehow tune myself to what scriptures are explaining, definitely I can reach that stage. Today I might have so many anarthas. I might have so many limitations. I might not have faith on myself, but I have faith on the process. So this happens only when we start discussing and when we start hearing Krishna Katha. Then what will happen is these blockers which are blocking us to receive this Krishna's mercy. The Krishna's mercy is there everywhere. but we are not able to see, we're not able to access that Krishna's mercy. Why? Because we have this Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. We have attachment to all the material things. We have fear. Krodha, when we don't get, as second chapter of Bhagavad Gita explains, Jhayato Vishayan, that whole cycle. Jhayato Vishayan Pumshaha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate. The whole cycle. Anger comes when our desires are not fulfilled. And these three things are the blockers for us to access the mercy of Krishna. Mr. Sangha Prabhu, I know you asked me to stop at 8:30. It's 8:48. I'm so sorry I went over time.
No, that's fine, Prabhu. It's so very interesting to hear from you. That's why I didn't even interrupt you. So please go ahead.
So there was one student who was in a very dire state. He used to come to the programs, but parallelly he started going to this. I forgot the name of that. The kriyas, they do something with the. Anyways, I forgot the name of that kriya. So basically, all they do is they focus on our chakras, the chakras, and then each chakra, Kundalini yoga. So this person, he started going there. He didn't inform me. One day he called me and he started like saying, Prabhu, I'm scared of everything right now. I'm not able to sleep all by myself. And this never happened to me. Then I started asking, like, what you did. What is it you have done? I know you are a normal person and you never had any problem, but all of the sudden you are saying you have this fear problem. I asked him the reason. Then he started saying, well, I started going to this Kundalini yoga and this person is haunting me. He is, even though he's not there physically, but I can feel his presence and he is doing all kinds of nonsensical things. So he started narrating so many things, which was even horrifying to me also. So, of course, I'm not belittling the other yoga systems. They have their own merits. But when you're not learning anything from a bona fide person, the chances of we getting misled are way too high. And that's why bhakti is such a sweet thing that it can break through all these things. The first qualification of bhakti is unmotivated, uninterrupted. Ahetuki apratihata. In other yoga systems, they'll have a motivation. Siddhi yoga, they want to do Siddhi yoga because they want to get some powers. But in bhakti yoga, the first and foremost thing is ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidhati. So the soul, we all are hankering for that love, that happiness, that bliss. And that is only possible when we get that mercy of the Lord, which is available everywhere, but we are blocking all those things with our attachments. So then I said to the student that, look, whatever done is done, but at least start reciting Narsingha Kavacha prayers. So he started reciting Narsingha Kavacha prayers, and then after some time, he came back to normal state. We have done so many nonsensical things in our lives. At least I should not say we, but I should speak about myself. But Krishna is tirelessly helping us. I always tell this to students that if Krishna is using me in his service, Krishna can use anyone in his service. I've done so many things. So Krishna is tirelessly working on all of us. So if Krishna has so much of patience, if Krishna is working tirelessly on all of us, if we can put some effort, Krishna, by seeing that effort, Krishna will take 1,000 steps to give his mercy. So that's why Krishna manifests in two forms. One is through Chaitya Guru, who is there as super soul in all of our hearts. And he also manifests as spiritual master. And these two persons, these two manifestations of the Lord are working tirelessly to drive away our inauspiciousness from our lives. So again, my small thoughts is I may not be at that stage, but over the period of time, I developed this conviction that the process is, it will work. I might not have that faith, but the process is working. I might not have that shraddha or that determination, but somehow if I can cling on this process and this wonderful Krishna and this wonderful devotees, one day, maybe not this lifetime, maybe some other lifetimes. As Krishna says, Neha Vikramana Shosti Pratyavayo na vidyate Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahatobhaya. Even if you practice bhakti for some amount of time also, you can cross over the greatest obstacles in our lives. With that, I think it's 8:54. I will end it here. Are there any corrections, comments?
Thank you very much, Nayanabhiram Prabhu. That was really excellent, and so much knowledge you shared with us. Before, I have a couple of questions, or somebody might have also, but before that, I would like to introduce His Grace Ajit Krishna Prabhu. He is there. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Nice to see you. Happy to see you.
Hare Krishna.
So he was
Sorry, Prabhu, I took your place and I started speaking.
No, please don't say sorry. In fact, I wanted to say thank you so much for doing that. And I was telling Muktasanga Prabhu, well, it's funny, you said last 2 weeks you had very you had very stressful work weeks. Last 2 weeks, I have just not been feeling well. So, but I was just feeling a little more energized earlier, about 8:15, 8:20, and I said, I don't want to miss the association of the devotees. So that's how then I just came and joined. So it's so wonderful to meet you, Nayanabhiram Prabhu.
Thank you.
Humble obeisances to you. Thank you so much for sharing such wonderful nectar with all of us, and your wonderful realizations and excellent knowledge of our Shastra. It's so inspiring. And all I can say is that, there is nothing like devotee association. And my choice was either to just sit and chant or to come and hear, and I wanted to hear. So then and I'm so happy that I got this chance. So thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice to see you, Prabhu, again. Thank you.
Likewise, Prabhu. Very nice.
We will definitely pray for your speedy recovery. Get well soon, and we will chant some extra rounds for you, please. We want to have your association. We don't want to miss your association every week.
Thank you, Prabhu.
We are so used to hearing from you. We miss. Yeah.
This is the material body. Mine is dwindling. I've as long as I can stay at least this much, it's fine. I'm not going to recover, but as long as it stays this much, I can hear and chant. So your prayers are I really appreciate it, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Nayanabhiram Prabhu, is that okay if I have a few questions?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, I'll be quick. So one thing, Prabhu, Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam, right? So birth is very divine, divyam. So he also says in other places that he comes yuge, right? Every millennium he comes as himself, not as any other avatar, not as Narsingadev, not as Varaha. He comes as himself, like Krishna himself, right? So, and in one place in one of the scriptures, he says that Vrindavanam tektva padam eka nagachati. Krishna says that even for a second, I don't leave Vrindavan. Okay, so there he says, even for a second, I don't leave Vrindavan. But here he says, I come to this material world as myself. So what is this confusion? Clarification.
So when I went with my Siksha Guru to Mayapur, who is no longer there, I learned one lesson from him. Since the time we got into the train till the time we came back to our hometown, his consciousness was completely focused. And I was always thinking, okay, now our time is 11:45. I think I'm feeling hungry. Prabhu, where can I get the restaurant? I just want to go and eat something. He was constantly saying one thing. He said, Prabhu, I know our mind always tricks us, but somehow pull your mind back and just chant the names of Krishna. Mahaprabhu is dancing here. We might not see him, but Mahaprabhu is dancing here. Right? So the dhams, or I forgot the exact technical name, Bhauma Vrindavan, yes, Bhauma Vrindavan and Vrindavan. When Krishna comes, Krishna does not come all by himself. He comes with his whole entourage. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this material world. He did not come just by himself. The whole entourage will come. The whole Vrindavan will come. That's why it is called as Bhauma Vrindavan. So from that perspective, Krishna never left Vrindavan. Krishna is still there in Vrindavan. Right? He's always there in Vrindavan. And the Krishna, what we see in Dwaraka, in Mathura, he is Dwarkadish. Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. Again, there are so many acharyas who have given commentaries on this one. When the Vasudev brings Krishna from Mathura, that Krishna will go and get merged with the Vrindavan Krishna. Right? So Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So when he comes to this material world, the Vrindavan is manifesting here. That's why it is called as Bhauma Vrindavan. So Hari Kirtan Prabhu made this statement that when we come to Dham, don't see this Dham as an ordinary place. This Dham is real Vrindavan. We might not have the eyes to see that Vrindavan. Our whole life is to practice in such a way that we can see the Vrindavan as it is. As it is. Otherwise, all these pastimes of Sanatan Goswami doing his bhajan, Srimati Radharani will come and put her sari on top of Sanatan Goswami. And the sweat which was coming from the forehead of Srimati Radharani when it was falling on the sari, that moisture was giving the cooling effect to Sanatan Goswami. Why will this happen? So in Vrindavan, Krishna and his whole associates are performing the pastimes even till date. Lota Baba is one more pastime. When we went to Vrindavan last time, this Lota Baba is still waiting for Krishna to come back. So Vrindavan is not, it's not that, okay, this is a material world. When Krishna comes, the whole Vrindavan also manifests here. That is what is called as Vrindavan. That is my understanding.
Thank you, Prabhu. It makes sense.
Ajit Krishna Prabhu can add more on this.
No, Prabhu, nothing more. I think it's exactly my understanding is also very similar to what you said, and in fact, I learned a few things from what you said too. So it's nothing more to add there, Prabhu. In fact, just in this context of Bhauma Vrindavan, the only other thought I wanted to add, which was slightly different or not really related to the question, but one of the things that Srila Prabhupada explains, the process of going back to Godhead. They say, and he explained that if we follow our bhajan sincerely, then at the end of this lifetime, the Lord makes arrangements for us to first, within this material world, go into the Bhauma Leela, where the pastimes of the Lord are going on in this material world. And so that is like a training school. And once we enter into that Bhauma Leela, then from there, we go back to the spiritual world. So, like you said, Prabhuji, the Bhauma Vrindavan, the Bhauma Leela is going on in the material world. Every day, every second, there is Janmashtami taking place somewhere in this material, in this creation, just to give us the opportunity to participate in it, so that we can then qualify ourselves to go back to God.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you both. Anyone else has any question? Please unmute yourself.
I'll take leave, Prabhu. I'll let you continue, Prabhuji. Okay, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much, Prabhu, for hopefully from next week onwards, we'll hear from you again.
Well, Krishna willing. Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. No.
You will, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Bhagavad Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So Shiva
Thank
Prabhu,
you.
you had something?
No, Prabhuji, I just want to say that, like, it was wonderful class. So I mean, there are a lot of things that inspiring. Prabhuji, giving a practical examples actually. So that was inspiring, Prabhu. Yeah, that's what I just. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Ramsham Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for a wonderful session. It was really, really wonderful. I mean, it's full of nectar. You made so many points. And yeah, really, I like that the point you made, like, we have personally for you, as you told, my son is also Mukund. He's here in this call. So he is 11 years. So in 11 years, whenever, like he does here and there, whatever. So just we get angry, I get angry, and feel like so much of difficulty kind of things. But Krishna is keep on coming. How many times he is coming? He's coming tirelessly every time, just to elevate us, just to take back to us. And he never get frustrated, otherwise he will stop coming, right? So he is showering mercy to us, but we jiva having so many of the cheating propensity and these mistakes and everything, so defects in our body. So so that was really good example you said. That was it's a really good, really I like that. You also mentioned like on that somehow I missed that sloka, but I will pick up sometime. Yoga Namattam, and last you said like Sri Krishna Chaitanya Matam Prapadya. So
So that's the contribution of Sanatana Goswami. Yognanamattam bhuvanam dayalur. Ullagayan apyakarot pramattam.
okay.
Swaprema sampat sudayat bhuteham Sri Krishna Chaitanyam amum prapatyam.
Okay, so where
Sanatana
from
Goswami.
Prabhuji, where from what is the reference of that?
I will have to, 1 second, Prabhu. So, I can send this reference
Yeah,
to
sure.
Mukta Sangha Prabhu. Maybe he can forward it to you.
Sure, Prabhuji, yeah.
I think it's Sanatana Goswami when he meets Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he sings this.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can send in the chat window. It's from Govinda Leelamrita Prabhu.
Okay, Govinda Lilamrita.
I'm sending in the chat right now, so you all can.
Yeah, Prabhuji, that will be good. And yeah, after that, you told that Pravishte Kana Randrana Sonam Bhavsara Aroha. So that was really nice. And so how Krishna enters in our through the ear to our heart, and how he reciprocates us. So that was really nice. I like that. So And the three points as it is there in the 10th, Bhita Raga Bhaya Krodha. So Raga, that is the, we have to get free from the all three. So that's strong attachments we have with the material life, material things. That is the Raga, Bhaya, that is the fear, and Krodha, anger. So, so, and solution you told like very good with nothing, just take the complete shelter of the Lord. Krishna says in that 18 chapter 65, right? Surrender unto me. So Sarvadharman Paridajya, yeah, that one. And not only that, Krishna again said like you pointed that one. So bhakti, that is the bhakti by practicing with the sadhana to the prema. So that's completely eradicate, whatever the problems we have, and how to do that. You pointed that was really good. Ahatuki apratihata. So overall, it's a really wonderful session, Prabhuji. And
I'm just doing a parrot job, Prabhu.
yeah, that we have to do. So that is the ninth verse itself. Jan karmcha me divyam. So we have to do, but the way it comes, the level of purity. So you presented very nicely, and it was really good. So
Please keep us in your prayers, Prabhu. Please keep us in your prayers.
Thank you so
for
much.
your kind words.
Thank you, Ramshyam Prabhu. Nayanabhiram Prabhu, thank you very much. I don't think anybody else has any question. Anyone else before we end the session? Okay, I think we are good, Prabhu. Again,
Thank you, Prabhu.
I would like to thank Prabhu. Within a short notice, you agreed to give a class today, and very wonderful information. Practical applications are also there. So we'll all try to do that. And hopefully we'll hear from you again when we get this kind of chance. So be prepared when to receive my call at any moment.
Sure, Prabhu.
So again, thanks all for joining this session. So we'll take leave now.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha
Kripa Sindhu Vayo Cha
Vayavacana Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Namo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Anandakoti
Namah.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Ki Jai,
Harinam Sankirtan ki jai.
Ki Jai,
Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki Jai,
Nayanabhiram
Nayanabhiram Prabhu ki
Jai,
The Prabhupada.
Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Krishna.
Hare Krishna.